Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the After Action Report. Happy that you are joining us this evening, and we are also very, very happy that we have our wonderful sponsor, Admiral Tater Ship Shop. If you are looking for the absolute best in Armada accessories, that is the place to go. You've probably seen it in several tournaments that you've been in. He does a lot of prize support for them. And keep in mind that, he can also, if you send him a message, not only do accessories for Armada, but for other games as well. He's a little bit more limited in that, and it may cost a little bit more, but, stuff is top-notch, definitely worth taking a look at. All the best tools that you can hope for in getting your Armada fix put together. So, tonight we are going to be a little bit short-handed. A couple of our normal team have some prior obligations and they weren't able to be here this evening, but we still have a great show lined up for you, and we are just going to go ahead and jump right to it. Tonight we do have Garrett with us, Admiral Tater himself. How you doing? We are always happy to have you on here, and you know what? It might help if I change the shot so that everybody could see you there. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that amazing Pelta. First off, let's go ahead and talk about last weekend. There wasn't a tournament, but the weekend prior to that was Uprising in Chicago, correct? Or do I? Yeah. Give me just a moment here. Something is not right with our audio here, so we are going to get this fixed here, because I am not sure why we are not getting your audio in there. All right, go ahead and try again. No, we're not getting... This is awkward. Yeah, technical difficulties here. We are having some problems with our audio here with Garrett, which really sucks because we got a lot of cool things to talk about. Let's see here. Go ahead. Well, nope, that's not it. That is just me again. Okay. Why am I not getting desktop audio here? I apologize for these technical difficulties, folks. I'm trying to figure out what is up with this audio, so give me just a moment. Can you say something for me, Garrett?
Are we still
there we go. Now we got it. I am not sure. Not sure what happened there, but let's switch back to our window there. And sorry, guys, for the technical difficulties there, but we are on board now. And as I mentioned, you recently participated in the Uprising Tournament in Chicago, so now is a good time to jump back into that.
All right. You didn't miss much. Okay, so all I said was this was the first major non-official grand tournament. It had 34 players, making it the largest event since Worlds. Kind of like a community christening of the boat going forward here, right?
And just to give everybody something to compare that to, what was the turnout at Worlds?
Oh well, Worlds, had like over 100.
Okay.
But the largest grand tournaments that have led up to this was I think LSO, Lone Star Open had 30, and
Okay.
that other one that's escaping my head right now was also 30. So pretty exciting, and lots of awesome prize support. I provided some. Some was provided by, the organizers, Adrian and John Keane, and then Ion Radio. Of course, streamed it. You can watch a lot of the rounds at the top tables.
And there is a link for that on our Facebook page, so you can actually catch some of the action there.
Yeah. It was great. Super fun. Everyone had a wonderful time. Lots of actually new players, probably like a dozen or more. It was their first tournament. Chicago's got a really big community, and it's really nice we're so close to it. Like, we're so close to Chicago that this annual tournament will be something to really look forward to going forward. And they'll always have big numbers there, which makes it a lot of fun. But yeah, no, Chicago Uprising was awesome. They were kind enough to let me win, which was nice. So Kentucky currently holds their title, but we'll see how that goes. They're sending a team down in November 16th to try and take our Kentucky team championship title back to Chicago. There's gonna be a lot of heated competition there, though, because like Georgia's coming, Ohio's coming, and then a couple teams from, I think a couple Ohio teams actually. So should be pretty cool. Other than that, it was a great time. I flew General Grievous in the Providence and a bunch of squadron.
I'm not used to you not running, Republic.
Yeah. I've been running CS for quite a while now, so I probably should get back to Republic. I think that's who I got to fly for the team championship. So maybe I'll put my ARC 170s back on the board. But it was a great time. I highly encourage,
Yeah, I would have been there if I could have this time, but I actually had to work, unfortunately. So
yeah, huge bummer. Work gets in the way. Speaking of tournaments, though, I'm going to the Ozark Mountain Open this weekend, and I have an open slot. And if anybody's watching this locally in the Kentucky area, if you want to meet me, I'll drive you there Friday, pay for the hotel, and then we have to drive back Monday because it's a really long ways. So if anybody's curious, like, I have an open slot. I had a couple people lined up, but they've all have too many obligations because it's really hard. It's like 4 days total.
Yeah, that was my problem.
2 days of travel. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Do you want to ask any other questions about it, or?
Well, I mean, what appeared to be the faction for the tournament?
Well, I guess by raw numbers, CIS was half of the top four. So Nicholas Coulter, he had a Martook list, squad list. He had a Providence, his Patriots Fist, obviously.
Yeah.
A Gazanti, and a Magnificent, super powerful, lots of dice adding, hits swivels and Patriots Fist with Martook. It's terrifying. And then the other was a Farm Hawk with a CR90, which is really cool. That was Josh's fleet. He got second. That's who I had to beat to win. I beat him by 2 points in the final game. Really close. I flew into his advanced gunnery and somehow survived. So it was basically, our battle really was a squadron battle, and then him trying to shoot my Gazanti, but my Gazanti squirreled away. And then the other fleet was Uh, escape my mind here. I probably got it actually up still. Oh yeah, it was Rob's Providence Rebel fleet with Agate. This
Okay.
one's similar to his Gen Con fleet, but so it's a Providence carrier with boarding troopers, right? Engine techs, things salty, this thing's savage. And then he had an MC-30 torpedo frigate this time instead of lots of CR-90s. And, he still had his Janus Light CR-90, of course. And then he's got his really fun Z-95 Squadron Ball with Sherrod Bay and Lieutenant Blount. Which, if you've ever flown Z-95s with Lieutenant Blount, it's kind of fun because they get the swarm because they're Z-95s, and then Lieutenant Blount gives them an extra reroll. So you can reroll to the reds, which is pretty helpful. But yeah. So, but there really was probably more Empire there overall, but they got eked out at the top there.
Gotcha. So you did see plenty of variety then.
Yeah. I would say Republic was probably the least seen, but Republic's really hard to fly. So
Yeah.
we had a guy from Louisville come, Steve, and he flew Republic. I think for his this was like his third time ever or something.
Mm-hmm.
He did pretty well. He tried to fly a Luminara Spatslist and had a good time. And then our other guy from Kentucky, Aaron Endel, one of my team members on our campaign game, he won the Sunday Who's the Bosk event, which was pretty exciting. So Kentucky brought home 2 of the trophies.
Awesome.
Which was pretty awesome, actually.
Yeah, I was surprised I didn't hear about that on Thursday.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Thursday, we did have some campaign action going on. So 4 games were going on, and the feature match, the one that you can actually catch on YouTube, was Nick P versus Jeff, which has led to a bit of a change, right?
Yeah, so we're back. It's Act 2. Logistically, we did a couple things here. We took away the base that we got as the Rebellion at Magito and made a hard rule edition. Only 1 base per turn, max. Because I think it would get too steamrolly. And we had a resources engine set up to where we were going to be able to build 2 bases every turn, which was going to get out of hand. So we agreed to that. We took away Magito. And so opening act round 1 here. The other thing that happened, important to know, is the Empire, to help bring their team up to our winning level, they got 2 upgrades each.
Okay.
Which is pretty big. So big swing for them. So, but anyways, they first attack, we'll say, was at Seleucami, I think. And Seleucami was Aaron's TRC 90s and his MC30 with TRCs versus Nick Federico's Gladiator, Demolisher, double Raider list, which is pretty scary. And Federico won that one handedly. And then
it's hard to deal with that move and fire. It really is.
Yeah, Demolisher is rough, right? And then the feature match, which was streamed, was the Rebel attack on Geonosis. And that ended up being Parrot's MC80 with big ol' X-Wing and Y-Wing ball attacking Geonosis, and Jeff with the Raider and Interdictor defending. So interesting
2 Raiders,
thing that happened here.
Actually.
Yeah, 2 Raiders and Interdictor. Interesting thing that happened here. So Parrot wanted to do prototype recovery, but Jeff used a diplomat token to make him not be able to play that green. So they weren't able to secure that because we had plans. We had plans for that green objective. So that was a good move by the Empire. We did win, and I think after that battle, I think Jeff's going to refit his fleet and do a little bit different composite of ships and squads, possibly. I'm excited to see what they come up with. The second Imperial attack was, I want to say, Araxis Prime. And this was against Sean's ISD-2, Architens, and Gazanti fleet versus our Rebel Jason's fleet with an MC-75. So this is really interesting. So after the pivotal, the MC-75 got expanded launchers. So expanded launchers is the one that has 2 black dies in the front. And Rebellion of the Room is interesting because it's a really overcosted upgrade card, 13 points. But in this format, it doesn't really matter. Because you're not building a 400-point fleet and trying to fit it in constructively. Like, Jason's fleet has all the squadrons it needs. It's just rapid launch bays, B-wings.
Yeah.
And now his MC-75 is just disgusting. Because this is no X-Frax, right? This is 2 black dice at the front every time he takes a turn with it, right? He's at close range. And he did win. He won that battle. It was actually a lot closer than it seemed because we have the rule where if you get half full points, you get full points for larges. And Sean did get that MC-75 down to half. And the rest of that battle was a real bloodbath. A lot of stuff went down. And then my battle, the last attack was my Rebel Pelta fleet attacked Dantooine. And this is horrific. So I wanted to play Holland Override, the green objective. I'll say it now. I'm trying to get Ahsoka officer for my fleet. Obviously, token control, right? Because I've got Intensify Firepower and just trying to keep my fleet somewhat competitive.
Yeah.
But I got there, and Ruben's ISD-2 was waiting for me with his 5 TIE Interceptors and Howl Runner. Just disgusting.
Yeah, they chewed apart your squads.
So funny. Because he can... So, like, if I attack the TIE Interceptors, they get counter 3 because of Howl Runner, and then Swarm. And when his TIE Interceptors attack me, they get 5 blue dice, plus Swarm. And, oh my gosh, it is a sight to behold. And then... But we played Hana Override. Hana Override is just really... We got to look at it as far as being a doable objective. But as second player, which Ruben was, defending, he was able to just park his Star Destroyer on the station. And the whole objective is you spend engineering points to put a token on the station, basically, and then take it off and score it. And my goal is to upload tokens onto the station, and his goal is to take them off. But essentially, he can just farm points just sitting on the station. Yeah. So I did my best to try and like overcome that number, and I flew my Pelta that direction, and we did a heated battle, front to front. I almost eked away, actually, with my Pelta. It was like half a millimeter of cardboard on the side arc and front arc, so he's able to double me and got me away, but yeah, he won the squadron battle really good. My GR-75 got a really fun shot on Hellrunner. It rolled, I con-fired and rolled an accuracy and a blue hit, and was able to block the scatter and kill her, which was satisfying. But yeah, so the Empire absolutely won that battle. Ruben did a good job. And then...
So you're saying your GR-75 combat refit is still not a veteran, though?
No. Only ship kills. But anyways, pretty good. I'm excited to see what I can do with Ahsoka now. But, at the end of the battle, my GR-75 and Nebulon survived. I did think he got half points on my GR-75, though. But, super fun battle. And state of the campaign is we're deciding on what to base next, because both of us have resources to spend. So that'll be interesting to see what they decide, and then we'll go into round 2 of Act 2 here.
And we will have that on Twitch, so I hope you guys will join us for that, and we'll also, of course, move it over to YouTube once we get everything edited. But that leads us to tonight's primary topic, which is our defensive retrofit cards. We are gonna start talking about what's good, what's bad, and I'm really surprised for such a powerful slot on the ship. I'm surprised that there are not more options.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think it's a really difficult ability to come up with that doesn't either be useless or breaks the game.
Right.
Because some people will say thermal shields breaks the game, but thermal shields have a glaring weakness that we will discuss when we talk about it. But
And of course,
all
some
these
people
cards,
also think that PDIC should be defensive retrofit rather than.
yeah, which is funny because I think they should be an offensive retrofit. But PDICs, yeah, it's an excellent card. I am exceptionally excited to see what the points changes does. It's going to make these tier lists a lot more fun. Which
Yeah, we'll probably have to revisit some things.
I will have to revisit everything. Yeah. Uh, Now the 24th is a pretty good guess as when it might come out. It's a Thursday, the second to last Thursday. It's not Halloween, so maybe. But anyways, any day now for that errata. Just keep a lookout. Whoa, excuse me. Anyways, yeah, let's talk about these defensive retrofits. You want to take that first one, advanced projectors?
Yeah, we can bring out the advanced projectors. So when you resolve the redirect token effect, you can choose more than one hull zone to suffer the damage, which may include a non-adjacent hull zone. So essentially, it lets you shuffle the damage wherever you want to.
Yeah, so this is really good, especially if you have multiple redirects, right? Like MC30s love this card. It's 6 points. It's well costed. You know, I think it was really interesting at Chicago Uprising. The other CIS fleet, Nick Coulter's fleet, his Providence had electronic countermeasures and advanced projectors, which was a really interesting way to run the Providence because it allowed him to, instead of spending command value tokens and repairs to move shields around, he was using his double defensive ability with the invincible title to instead just move the shields using advanced projectors.
Okay.
It's a really efficient use of points, in my opinion. So that was really neat to see. This card is actually pretty good. It doesn't go great on every ship because some ships just don't have like great shields. And when you only have one defensive retrofit, this isn't the best fit for like a ISD, right?
Oh, and the other thing to consider is that there is also the ready response to it, which is XI7s.
Yeah. So this is the counter to XI7s, right? Because if somebody shoots you with XI7s, you're only allowed to redirect one, but advanced projectors allows you to redirect to your other 3 hull zones that 1 damage. Which is very useful because if you can redirect 3, that usually, on average, if somebody's rolling a big roll at you, they get 8 damage. You brace it to 4, and then redirect 3 and take 1 and that main hull zone.
Okay, so I am misreading this card then. My reading of it was that you would have to choose which hull zone you were redirecting the damage to, but it all would go to 1. But what you're saying is with this, you can actually split the damage and send it to a bunch of other shields.
Yeah, so it's important. It says when you resolve the redirect token effect, you can choose more than 1 hull zone.
Okay.
Which is really clever way to get around XI7
yes.
wording. Which is why this is really good on MC30s because MC30s have a lot of shields. It's like 3, 3, and 2. So it takes, if you have advanced projectors, you can basically, 9, 11, you need 15 total damage to destroy an MC30, which is pretty hard to get, right?
Yeah.
Pretty cool card. Love it. It's not like game changing or anything because you can't put it on every ship, but I'd say it's definitely like a strong B plus B A tier. It's like definitely above average.
Yeah, I was gonna lean towards A tier.
Yeah, it's very useful.
And our friends at Ion Radio are saying advanced projectors is awesome on MC30s.
Yeah. Ken loves them. Ken loves them on his MC30s. All right, I'll read the next one here. Cluster bombs.
he said, he said, Garrett mentioned MC-30s and advanced projectors. He summoned me.
It is summoned Kin in. Yeah, thanks for watching, Kin. Cluster bombs. Cluster bombs. Okay, so this is a weird card. I'll just say it. After a squadron performs an attack against you, even if you are destroyed, you may discard this card to roll 4 blue dice. That squadron suffers 1 damage for each hit or critical hit icon rolled. It's 5 points. This card is awful.
Yeah, I was gonna say it looks. I mean, if it did it to maybe all squads.
Yeah, like that would be an interesting idea, right? To elevate it. But for 5 points, 1-time use discard, and
Oh yeah, the discard too. It's not even exhaust. It's throw it away.
Yeah, it's okay, right? Because you get the 4 blue dice, I guess. You could potentially take out an ace with it if they're bombing you, but because you get an accuracy with their blue die and then like the hit crit stuff. It's just not good.
Well, now let me ask a technical question on this card that may actually change the way that we look at it. You roll 3 blue dice. That squadron suffers damage for each hit or critical icon rolled, but this is not phrased as an attack. Therefore, can squads use scatter? You know, I don't think you would be able to use defense tokens against it.
Yeah, so it would allow them to still use their defense tokens. Or maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong.
That would be something that's worth looking into. I'm going to say
the squadron suffers 1 damage for each crit or hit crit rolled. I think so. Because it would be past the defense token step.
Yeah,
kind of like.
And Ken's saying like this is not an attack, so
yeah,
because it's not an attack, you would avoid the whole activation of defense tokens.
Yeah, it's kind of like Lando, where he sets his die and you have to take his damage no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean that makes it a little bit better, but
it's still F tier.
Yeah.
It's still awful. Still horrifically bad. Which I guess it kind of works like proximity mines. Right? The damage just goes straight to you, straight to the hull on a ship, but it's for a squadron. Yeah, cluster bombs, and 5 points. If this was like, listen, if this card was 2 points, I could consider putting it on, like my small ships that have a defensive retrofit.
See,
consider it.
I'm looking from a logical point of view on this, and I'm just thinking to myself that the concept on the card leads me to believe that it should be applicable to all squads within the attack distance of 1. You know.
Yeah, that would be fun. I would go for that.
Yeah,
I would agree.
Yeah, that would be something that would be, you know, a viable defensive strategy against squad builds. But if you're only doing 1 squad, then, you know.
People would be really mad about that, I can imagine. But yeah, it's discards.
I mean, even if you were to up the cost on it, if it did it to all squads, it would still be something to consider. I don't think it'd be good necessarily, but it would be.
I don't know. It would have to be, if you did it all squads, you'd probably have to just do like 2 dice. You couldn't do 4, but it would still be interesting. That'd be a good way to elevate it, though. You would definitely see it if you affect all squads at like distance 1 of the defender squad or something. Be interesting. But anyways, cluster bombs, they suck. They're expensive. I'm sure there's somebody out there who has had fun with these, though. So you could blow somebody's special ace up. But anyways, why don't you go ahead and read early warning systems for us?
All right. Early warning. At the start of each ship phase, you may choose one of your hull zones and mark it with a chaff token. Until the end of the round, while a ship or squadron is attacking that hull zone, the attack is obstructed. After the status phase, remove that chaff token.
All
And it's 7 points.
7 points. This card's really good. I'm going to say off the top, it's A tier. This is really good against bombers that are single die, because then they can't attack you at all, right?
Yeah.
So you got EWS up. This is pretty good defense against Akbar CR90s, because they only have the one red. So if you can keep them at long range and attack and have them in a spot where they can only hit the one arc, this stops them from being able to Akbar you. Pretty good card. Especially, I will say, if you're running ships that have double defensive, comboing EWS with anything is a wise move.
Okay.
Yeah. Have you had to use EWS yet?
I think I've used it once. I mean, I enjoyed it a great deal when I did use it, because it was... I think it depends a lot on how confident you are in your flight ability and your ability to predict where your opponent's going to want to go. Because, I mean, you do definitely have to choose the correct hull zone. Of course, thing is that even if you choose the wrong hull zone, you're not out anything. You just don't get the bonus.
Right. I will say, if you are in a heavy Sloan meta and you're trying to fly not Luminara, bring a light squad screener, and then you put your squads on the sides of the ship and protect those hull zones, and you put EWS in the front, and Sloan can't Sloan you. Only like Merrick Steele and Vader will be able to, which are still annoying, I will say, but it's less annoying than like 5 other TIE interceptors rolling at you. So EWS, it's a great card. And
I still say
downsides.
Yeah, I do agree that
I
do agree that it is A tier, simply because there's at least one in here that is S tier, and it is so far superior that it's just the comparison is just not there.
Yeah, the great thing about EWS is it doesn't make you pay anything to refresh it, so you can move the chaff token around your ship.
Yeah.
At the start of each ship phase, which is super useful. Yeah, EWS, love them. Okay, I'll read the next fan favorites. This is probably the most important one in the game. Electronic countermeasures, ECMs. While defending, you may exhaust this card to spend 1 defense token that your opponent targeted with an accuracy result. This is an exhausting card, and it costs a repair token to ready, and it's 7 points. I will say, pre 1.5, this card was really annoying. It did exhaust, but it readied without a cost. So, obviously, really good. And it's still really easy to get repair tokens to your ships with CommsNet, especially for Rebels and Empire with their cheap flotillas. And, you know, this card is like a must-have on all Imperial Star Destroyers, basically. On Rebel Larges, like the MC-75. You know, it's so useful. And you can run it on the, what's it called? The Clone Warships, too, if you're in a meta that does a lot of dice adding, because that's one of the issues that thermal shields have, which we'll talk about. But yeah, ECMs, definitely S tier. Being able to, no matter what, brace is critical.
Yeah, there are those moments that just, I mean, nothing else will do. It doesn't matter what kind of defense tokens you have. Bracing is just, I mean, if you're getting hit by that front arc shot from the ISD at medium range, then yeah, you need to cut that in half. Redirects just ain't going to do it.
So usually you put on big ships. I will say there's a really funny build that everyone should fly at least once if you haven't. Take a Imperial Gazanti, put Minister Tua on it, and she lets you put a defensive retrofit on the ship she's on. Put ECMs on it, and then it's called a Jerk Zanti, because you can ECM scatter whenever you need to. And then you put something like Suppressor or slicer tools or something on it. Slicer tools is hard with ECMs because they both require repair tokens to refresh.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Jerk Santi, it's really fun ship to fly because it's invincible while the ECMs are readied.
All right, so after that, we have. Let's see, I don't have mine in order.
Reactive Gunnery.
Okay. Reactive Gunnery. While defending, you may exhaust this card and spend a readied defense token to resolve the. Wow, my mind's drawing blank. Salvo defense effect. Instead of that token's effect, you cannot resolve the salvo defense effect more than once per attack. So that's saying that you can't take one token and turn it into a salvo and then use a salvo that you may already have on the ship. That don't work.
Right. Or like spend 2 contains. It's both salvos. Yeah. So it's a exhaustible card. It's 4 points. This is a really great card. It's cheap enough to put on things. And a lot of ships have red rear arc dice. And a lot of these ships have LTTs all the time. So this is a fun card to put on something if you have the points to spare. Or if you're doing something very specific, like trying to play an objective where it's important for you to get as many attacks in as possible.
I do not love this as much. I just feel like on the surface it looks really, really great and everything. And then you realize how less impressive most rear arcs are to begin with. And second of all, you also realize that there are just so many better defensive retrofits out there.
There's other options, yeah.
Yeah.
But so like you put this on a Republic Pelta with their 2 reds in the back, and it's a really annoying thing to shoot at now.
Okay. So, I mean, I guess there are some ships that it makes sense with, but I just don't feel like it's the majority of ships want this.
No. It does help that it's 4 points, though.
Yeah.
I wouldn't slap this on
like an ISD.
Large, right, unless you're doing something super specific. And when I say that, I mean like, you're playing an objective like volatile or whatever it's called. Or I don't think actually, I'm wrong. You can't really do special crits off the salvo.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. But either way, when you're doing an objective that might benefit from hits, additional hits, this would be the one you take. So like the objective, I think it's Precision Strike, where if you hit with your salvo, you can still, spin that hit to like flip one of their face down cards face up and then get a victory token or whatever.
Okay.
I will say this card is built around objective play and what you're doing.
Gotcha.
And it can also be used to salvo squadrons that are attacking you too.
Yeah.
So that's not a bad thing either.
I would rate it a B, but that's
I
that's
don't
me.
even think I'd go that high. I'd say C tier. I'd say
Okay.
C tier. I'd say average. I'm not that hot on it. It's a very special case card.
Yeah.
But it's cool because it can give ships salvo that don't have it natively.
Yeah.
And a lot of ships you never put defensive retrofits on anyways, right?
Okay, so next up we have redundant shields. At the start of each status phase, you may recover 1 shield, and it is 8 points.
Yeah, so this card has a lot of problems. It's a modification,
Yeah.
which is a problem right off the bat. It's 8 points. I wish I could go back in time and ask what the justification in the 8 points on this was.
We're gonna pause you for just a moment there as Ken is saying superior positions, extra tokens with salvo attacks if you score hull damage.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so there's another one. Yeah, so there's things to do with it. Like imagine you had multiple small ships with reactive gunnery.
Yeah.
So no matter what they shot at, is shooting at you again. It just adds to the the hive, right? The beehive
Okay.
forming you. But anyways, back to redundant shields. Thanks, Ken. Redundant shields suck. It's just not good.
Don't be
It's really
afraid to
funny.
tell us how you really feel, Garrett.
Whenever I play against somebody that has this card, I don't think they've ever remembered to recover their shield. Because it's at the start of the status phase, which is a phase that people don't think about in this game, unless I like say it out loud.
Yeah.
It feels like. But yeah, you get one shield for 8 points instead of a million other items. You can combo this with, I guess, MC, Exodus Fleet title cards, but it's just a, or like combo this with Shields and Maximum Fleet Command.
Yeah.
But still, like it's not a good, not a good combo.
No, I mean, I feel like, you get as much out of a ship with CommsNet passing engineer tokens as you probably do out of this card.
Yeah, so like parts resupply, you can send out 5 repair tokens, and
Yeah.
every ship in the game, except for what's it called? Anything that's engineering 2 or below, could benefit from just a repair token.
Yeah.
So redundant shields, F tier, port. Like this card would be really good if it was like 3 points or 4 points. Then you could like spam put it on a fleet and actually make some progress on small ships. Like this would be potentially useful on like a CR90 maybe, an aggressive CR90 build, because they have a defensive retrofits slot that nobody uses. Trying to think what else does. The Consular Armed Cruiser's got a defensive. I don't know. 3 points maybe be useful, but as of now, just big old poo doo doo. No thanks.
I don't like those tiny ships.
Yeah, they're fun to fly. All right, next card. Reinforced blast doors. RBDs. At the start of the ship phase. It's really convenient timing. You may discard this card to discard up to 3 of your face down damage cards. 5 points. People really like this card.
I did when I first started playing. I thought it was amazing when I first started playing.
Yeah, it's still good on the right ships. Like the not often do all cards go well with the ship they came with, but this came with the Architans light cruiser. This is a great card for the Architans because it's 5 hull, and now that ship is 8 hull.
Yeah.
Combo it with Mahdi, and now your ship is like 9 hull, right? That's useful. Yeah, RBDs. It's
if
really
it
good
times
timing.
right.
Yeah, this ship phase is a good time to do it. It can really save your butt when you're in a pickle. So yeah, this is a small ship useful card, and you can do it when you have less than 2, or like if you have 2, right? It's worth doing to save your ship, right?
Yeah, I was just going to throw that out there that my argument against it is just that most people who are going after the smaller ships are dumping enough firepower into it that it may not have the chance to use it. That would be my concern.
Yeah. I think that's why it goes good on the Architans, because you should be flying your Architans at long range to try and keep them out of the battle. So it's a good spot to put them. This is actually also kind of an okay card to put on MC30s. Not as good as advanced projectors, in my opinion, but it fits. Like it can hang out there. Or even, the Pelta transport frigate that's got 5 hull. Now it's got 8 hull.
Yeah.
And it's only 5 points. So it's right on the edge there of being affordable. So I say give them another chance on your small ships. See what you think. They could be worse. The only downside is they don't get rid of crits, but that's okay. I can survive with that.
All right, so we're saying what? B tier?
Let's see here. I'll say B tier. I
kind of lean a little bit more towards C, but yeah, I can see where your arguments there put it at B.
Yeah. It's so your power move right is at the top of round 4 ship phase. You've got yourself a engineering command dial queued up, a repair token on board, and you've got RBDs. So you queue the RBDs, get rid of 3 hull damage, hit that engineering, bring your shields back up on the dangerous side, and bam, your ship escapes.
Yeah.
That's how to time it. That's the best way to make it happen.
All right, so we only have one left, I think.
Yes, the one people tend to really, really hate if they're flying fleets that don't add dice. So, thermal shields. Medium or large ship only. Very important nerf.
Yes.
Done in playtesting, perhaps. While defending, after the attacker gathers dice, you may spend 1 brace token. If you do, choose and remove half of the dice in the attack pool, rounded down. So if they have 7 dice, you can get rid of 3. If they got 8 dice, you get rid of 4.
And I think a very big word in there is choose.
Yes, the defender picks which dice get removed from the dice pool. This is Clone Wars locked. Only the Republic and CIS can take it. It's 5 points, and it can be used over and over and over as long as you have a brace token to spend. So this card is fantastic for obvious reasons, right? So this takes MC-80 Liberties, Imperial Star Destroyers, Super Star Destroyers, and really ruins what they got going on. Because they rely on their big dice pools, and if you don't have an engine set up to add like 3 or 4 more dice after I thermal you, your dice just get ruined. And so on the fleet I took to Chicago, I had thermals and early warning systems. So that made people even more irritated, because the way thermals timing works is I remove half your dice, and then you are obstructed by the early warning system. So it goes from 8 dice to 4 dice to 3 dice, and I've removed all your blacks, all your reds or blues, whatever you needed to shoot at me, and it's a good combo. So yeah, thermal shields.
Now here is another question with that is, again, if... Well, I guess it would... Never mind. I was thinking along the lines of if you remove certain dice, then it would prevent certain effects from being able to be used, period.
Yeah. Right.
But I can't think of any of those effects off the top of my head.
So I'll give you a perfect example. So at Chicago, round 1, I fought against a double ISD list, and one of his Star Destroyers was a Kuat with assault proton torpedoes. I removed all the black dice out of his dice pool every time. So he never got the chance to trigger APTs, and it didn't even matter if he had a Confire dial, because you can only add dice to your dice pool that are already in the dice pool.
And I guess overloaded pulse would be the same way. If you can remove all the blue from somebody's pool, then they're not going to... Yeah. I'm
safe. So it's really good. Now, here's the problem with thermal shields. Here's the problem. Akbar. Akbar is a nightmare to this card, because now let's say Akbar, let's say best case, you're fighting against an assault frigate, okay? It's got, I think, 3 reds and a blue at the side. If you thermaled him at long range, you can only get rid of 1 red. And then he's going to Akbar you so he's got the 2, Akbar to 4, slave turrets, let's say, to 5, and then Confire, let's say, to 6. And your brace has been spent because you thermaled, so now you can't use it again. It's a problem. Fighting Patriot's Fist. Patriot's Fist, 4 red die at long, plus 2 blues for Pat's Fist. He's got swivels. He swivels in a black. He confired. He adds another black. So best case, you remove two red die, but you still have 6 dice incoming at long range that now you can't brace unless you. No, you can't brace. Yeah, there's no double brace in Clone Wars. I was trying to think of it. It's trying to think of one scenario at least, but no. So yeah. So if you have a fleet based around purely thermals and you run into one of these things, or TF 1726, where he raids you and then adds black dice up to 2 for each raid token. Oh my gosh. You're cooked. And then you have to just hope and pray that they don't get an accuracy and block your brace when you want to try and use it normally.
Yeah.
And this is why everybody likes electronic countermeasures more, because it's a sure thing.
Okay.
But that's why.
But then again, and also electronic countermeasures doesn't have the faction limitation either.
Right, it can go on anything. But the reason my thermal shields were so effective at Chicago was because I also had early warning systems. But even then, like, my one battle against the other CIS, Nick, he had Patriot's Fist. So I finished the battle with his Providence, barely came out of it alive, and then here comes Patriot's Fist, just chucking dice, and blew me up. Nothing I could do about it. So, people don't like this card, but I think because there's so many things in this game based around adding dice, Martuk, Ramadi, stuff like that. Even Sato can kind of get around these because you can take away some of his dice, but then Sato turns them into blacks, right, with the squadron. So
yeah,
I think it's an appropriate card. It could go up in points. I will agree. It could be 7 points. There's no reason this card is not 7 points, in my opinion. It would be fair to be on the same level as ECMs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I would still say it's S tier.
Oh, easily. Yeah. It's a staple in Clone Wars. Now, Chris, I want to borrow something from Speculation Station. I'm going to shout them out. They do this thing. It's called Elevate something. If you were to elevate one of these cards, which one would it be, and what would you do?
Well, I think I've already actually touched on that. I really think cluster bombs could be fun. If you add the effect that it hits multiple squads, and I think it fits thematically, because essentially you're just trying to cloud an area with explosive debris, and that is a really great way to. It's a special kind of flak, you know.
I love it. Yeah, I agree. I think it's a great idea. I think that card would immediately see play, especially in smaller ships.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back to my redundant shields. I want to elevate it. I want to take away modification. I want to drop it to. I'm gonna say. Oh, I'm stuck between 3 and 4 points. I'm gonna say 4 points. We'll err on the side of caution. No modification. 4 points. And maybe this card can see action on small ships.
Yeah. I can see that.
I like it. I like it a lot. Awesome.
All right. Well, this has been a wonderful show, and I want to thank you for joining me tonight. Hopefully in 2 weeks we will at least have Ruben back. Nick may be a bit more of a stretch because he is currently getting ready for a very big personal event, and I would never dream to take him away from that.
Oh, we can dream it. We can strong arm him. But yeah, so the next time we're back, I'll be able to talk about Ozark Mountain Open.
Yes.
So that'll be exciting.
Yeah, and I'm not sure, we are going to be talking about upgrade cards again, just not sure which ones we are going to be talking about, but we will...
Hopefully, Chris, we're talking about the errata.
Yeah, hopefully we're talking about the errata. We may not talk about upgrade cards if we're talking about the errata, but we will probably...
Now, 3-hour show, 3-hour show all around.
And we are also probably going to be discussing the continuing campaign of Rebellion in the Rim. So I'll have some programming notes after we say goodnight to Garrett here. But again, I want to thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
And I hope you have a wonderful evening.
Y'all too. Bye.
All right, take care. So, thank you for joining us tonight. I do have some programming notes that I want to share with you before I say goodnight completely. First off, we will have Thursday Night Armada this coming week. It will be 6:30 as usual or thereabouts. We're kind of loose with the start time there because of whenever we get set up at the venue, the time takes a little bit longer, so we want to make sure that we have enough time to play the full games. Second of all, we also will have, on Sunday, we will be continuing the Star Wars... Star Wars The Old Republic game. Hope you guys have been watching that and enjoying that with Mallet and I. We've had a lot of fun doing the show, and we're going to keep on going with that. Next Monday will be our Outlaw stream. Again, we'll be starting at 7 o'clock. We're trying to start earlier start times now, so I hope that brings more people on board. But it definitely makes our lives easier, so I apologize if it doesn't make it easier for you to catch the shows. Good thing is that all of these will be replayed on YouTube, so you'll be able to catch the videos there. And we always welcome you to get in on the chat. If you can't get in on the chat, join us on Discord. Let us know what you think about what we talked about. You can join us on Facebook. Let us know what's going on there. We are always welcome to hear what you have to say. Anyway, with that, I am going to say good night, and thank you again for joining us.